Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all dignitaries, delegates, guests, and the student of social work. I welcome you all in the second technical session of the symposium. Since morning, we are being enlightened by the scholar over the idea of sustainable development goals and gender diversity, inclusion for development. I am Professor Pratima Pawar. I am aware that since the beginning of human civilization, the idea of equality, liberty, and fraternity has been distinct dream, and people with progressive mentality have always been tried to bring this dream into reality. But due to many social, economical, and political issues, we are lagging behind, and the execution of this symposium is an attempt to step forward for the same direction. As far as gender and development is concerned, our concern is referred to the development perspective and process that is participatory and empowering, equitable, sustainable, free from violence, respectful of human rights, supportive of self-determination and actualization of human potential. In this regard, we have Dr. Anita is Assistant Professor and Teaching in Charge at the Department of Social Work of at Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit Regional Campus, Payanur, to privilege with us her encyclopedic approach and backed up field experiences to synchronize the idea, which will help us to open our eyesights and enrich us with the practical approach to confront the real issue to bring about paradigm change in the real terms. For this session Today, to chair this session, we have Dr. Sharmila Ramteke, ma'am, is in charge director at Karve Institute of Social Service, Pune, and also ex-member of Board of Studies at Savitribai Phule Pune University. Ma'am has 27 years of teaching experience at PG level in Karve Institute, Pune, and handling various responsibilities of institutional level also. She has presented and published papers at national, international, and state level conferences. She undertaken and coordinated various research and surveys on social causes like education, health, and industrial worker. She one of the member of advisory committee at She has presented paper at international conference, including the International Federation of Social Workers conference. She also played a key role in coordinating syllabus restructuring of the Department of Social Work into outcome-based teaching, learning, and evaluation. She chaired the session on emergence of concepts in welfare and development in the 3 days national seminar on visitable of the past reconceptualizing social work in Kerala. Dr. Anita also worked as a social worker, project director for 2 years in 3 different sexual health intervention projects among MSM female sex workers and construction workers in Trivandrum and Ernakulam. Now I request Dr. Anita to please take over the floor and share extensive experiences on the topic International, National, and State Initiative for Gender Diversity Inclusion. Dr. Anita, please, you can start right now.
Am I audible, Pratima?
Yes, you are audible right now.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you, all of you, for I made you all wait for such a time because of the technical difficulties. I think it was a very rewarding morning, right from the inauguration till the lunch break. I had been through your inaugural function and the keynote speaker and Kirti's presentation. So altogether, the talk and the discussions on sustainable development goals and gender equality has been going on. I think to begin with my presentation on international, national, and state initiatives, the topic that we had chosen, that your institution has chosen on the sustainable development goals and gender diversity itself shows why this is so important, why this topic is so important, why gender diversity and inclusion becomes so important at the international level. It is with all these purposes that the initiators has been initiators at the international level to speak on, so that all irrespective of the biological barriers that we have created, the sociological barriers that we have created for different populations. I think at the international level, there needs to be lots of discussions, debates, and lots of things needs to be changed. And it is with regard to that the policy for making changes in that regard, that like the treaties has been signed, discussions are held every now and then, and with regard to every like changes, the governments has to frame different policies, make different laws, bring out newer programs with newer visions. And this discussions are going on every time. We all know that we are hearing. Even this platform that we are on today is also for bringing a new generation of young students to listen to what it is that the discussion current debates are going on in these aspects at various dimensions all over the world, and near us also. Since the NGOs are also involved as a multi-stakeholder in this seminar, I think everyone will be benefited, right? Not just academicians, but the practitioners are also together. So that itself is a great thing to see that the NGOs are also together into making of this because academia and the NGO, both the professional academicians and the practitioners have to go hand in hand when things has to really be practical. Okay, so going on, we'll just go on to the international level to see what has been happening at the international level. The slide is now changing, right, Pratim? Okay. Hello, Pratima.
No, the slide is not. Yes, it is working.
Okay, okay, fine. Even now, like we know that the UN reports still say that in 2019, if we look at the topmost positions at the international level, only 28% of managerial positions worldwide has been um, are being occupied by women. Uh, so uh, before that, just a second, okay? I think there's a disturbance from outside. Just a second. This is just a glimpse to show you that we still need to go a long way in spite of all the policies and programs that we are having right now. So we all know that there has been several international initiatives to promote diversity and inclusion. And as I told you, as I began, like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 agenda, which has included the fifth SDG as gender to include women itself is a bigger aim. It shows that how important it is. At the international platform itself, it is being acknowledged that for the sustain all the for the 1 to 17, in order to like bring out changes in all kind of sustainable development goals to remove poverty or with regard to education or with regard to environment, whatever be the sustainable development, 16 other sustainable development goals, it's important that this to achieve gender equality and empower women and girls is most important. And so this if only we empower the women and girls, then only they will be able to support. And if we are able to make changes, improve the lives of this marginalized population, then we will be able to support all the other goals that the international platform has put forward with. Okay, so this is one of the program that is being launched by the UN Women in 2014, He for She, which encourages men and boys to become advocates for gender equality, because we all know that the women just raising their the feminist movements has started from a long time. Every March 8th, we declare, we again reinforce the rights of women, right? We have a thought on it, but we all know that it's equally important that the irrespective of gender, everyone supports the men. It's equally important that the men and the boys also learn to understand why it is important to support women in the cause for advocating gender equality. So this campaign calls for men on taking action against gender-based based violence, discrimination, and promote, because just women talking about themselves doesn't make any difference, because only if there is a support from the other gender, it's support from the men, then this violence and discrimination can be put to an end. Then there is the UN Women's Empowerment Principles, which talks to the companies, to the organizations, which provide guidance for the companies on how to promote gender equality and women's empowerment in the workplace, in the marketplace, and the community. They had developed, which has been developed in partnership with the UN Global Compact and the International Labour Organization, which has put forward guidelines to support women at the workplaces. Then Women in STEM is another program. STEM is which includes initiators and promoting gender diversity in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So initiators to support women in all these fields. Uh, the United Nations Educational Scientific Culture, UNESCO has launched a global initiative called STEM and Gender Advancement to promote gender equity in STEM education and career. So all the platforms where women need to come forward in case of these, especially STEM is sorry. So in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and maths. And we have the International Labour Organization that promotes gender equality and decent work for all men and women, and through adoption of policies, researchers, and policy advisors at the international platform. We have the Global Gender Gap report that has been published annually by the World Economic Forum, which measures the gender gap especially in 4 different areas, which is economic participation and opportunity, then educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. So this aims to give awareness, or it is a benchmark for countries to track where we stand at this current, at every year. Where do we stand? How many women are part of the educational, at the economic participation level? Where are the countries giving enough opportunities to women to progress in all all the different platforms that at the international platforms that we have aimed to? With regard to health, where are they standing at the political? Are there women coming up in the political arena? So every year the statistics is taken and published by the Gender Gap Report, so that every country gets to know what is happening in their countries and to work accordingly and make new changes. Then I'm just going through briefing through important programs only. I may not be able to go very deep because this is a very huge topic, as you all know. So I'll just be brushing through a few things. Okay. So when we come to our country, like in Indian Constitution, we all know that we are proud of our Constitution, which has the equal provisions for everyone, irrespective of gender and caste, which is a main problem in our country, and which are the main barriers also for many progressive things that has to happen in our country. So Indian Constitution recognizes the principle of gender equality in its preamble, in the fundamental rights, and under the directive principles of state policy. And most important thing is that our Constitution has given freedom for the states to adopt measures of positive discrimination in favor of women. And we have the National Women's Commission, which was started in 1992 for dealing with all kinds of women's rights violation, to advise on respect of socio-economic development of women. And we know that they are playing a great role in advising the government with regard to the government's women's issues. Then and there we hear their voices with regard to what the women are suffering from. And we have, as a country, we have already we are already signatory, ratified and endorsed various conventions, instruments that are there at the international level. So we has signed so many platforms, and this is one among them is Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which was ratified by India in 1993. So we are also signatory to this, which ensures that women in like whatever international policy level things has been discussed, we are also part of it. Our government is also bound to take make programs and policies, since we are a signatory at the international level. So we do have lots of legislations. Legally, we have lots of provisions at the central and state levels. We have we have protection of women from domestic violence. Then we have the amendment of like Maternity Benefit Act. Just going before that, the Domestic Violence Act that has come up in and 2005 was a great like initiative, because my PhD topic was on the Domestic Violence Act, which has come down in 2005. And you know how like women are suffering in their, and because this is culturally in a country like India. What happens is we can say that it is a kind of the patriarchal version is more accepted. So what happens is it is culturally accepted that the men can beat women. And even when I had gone and asked the children, if your father beats your mother in front of you, they haven't considered any of like kind of harassment against their mother, a violence, until and unless like no physical abuse, I'm sorry, not psychological abuse, no emotional abuse, no economic abuse has been reported as violence. Only when it comes to physical abuse, the children has stated that yes, their mother has been there has been abuses against their mother physically. So only physical abuse, that too to a very great kind of like when it is it is physically hitting the mother, they acknowledge that the violence has happened even in their father mother relationships. So it is understandable in a context like India, where culturally, even if we take the census reports also, we know that even the women do accept that getting a beating from the husband is acceptable. So in such a country, we know that it is important that the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act has come even after long years. It has come only in 2005, and at least a percentage of women has been able to take help of this legal act. Okay, so another thing is Maternity Benefit Act, which has been amended in 2017 to provide. We know as in the workforce, the number of women has been increasing, and the Maternity Benefit Act has amended to provide for 26 weeks of paid maternity leave, so that women do not face any. So they are able to take care of the children during these time, and equally go hand in hand with their job and with taking care of the children. And we also know that the central government has initiated 2 years leave. They can take during the when the children are studying, they can also avail 2 years leave until any point of time in when the children are growing up. So which is also really beneficial for the mothers to take care of their children or sit with them during the study hours when it is an important. Like recently, one of my friend has taken leave because her child is in 10th standard. So it is important that providing a mental, physical support during that time is important. We know about the Sati, which was enacted earlier, so I'm not going much into that. We have the sexual harassment of women at workplace, as we all know that as women in workplace is important. This was also this amendment, this Sexual Harassment of Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act was also equally important, played a great role. Then the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, because we all know that like though there are so much conditions that prevail, which lead to the immoral trafficking of women to places, we haven't addressed it properly in the earlier days. It was considered as a like only because it was considered more of a women's issue, but it has been taken up as a state issue and as a country's issue, and the law has been enacted, which again had been very supportive in case of when it comes to women and the indecent representation of women. Since we have all the media platforms, the movies that had come up, that are coming up, and the more women coming into it, these acts had been really helpful with regard to that. Okay. Then the Nirbhaya Fund that has been created in 2013, we know that the Nirbhaya issue that has happened in our country, and we know how much voices have gone into that. So after the incident, we have a fund that was created by the central government. Then we also know there has been lots of corporate initiatives where at the NGO level and at the companies where they have made flexible work hours, providing parental leave to even fathers, and the career development program with consideration when it comes to the career development programs. I'll just mention the transgender person. I think Ketki has mentioned this earlier, has given a few things talked about this, and you also seem to have a special talk on this area, the transgender and related laws. So I'll just mention, and I hope you will have discussion during those later sessions. So this is an act that was passed in 2019 to provide legal recognition for transgenders and prohibit discrimination. Then we have also initiatives by the government for transgender persons, so which is called SMILE, Support for Marginalized Individuals for Livelihood and Enterprise. Then National Portal for Transgender Persons. We have SMILE Garima Shelter Homes. We have scholarship programs, skill development training programs, medical support and health benefits, etc. And then we have, when we come to like the state that I come from, I belong to, it is said that Kerala has always been acknowledged as one of the states when it compared to the whole of our country. Kerala has always been acknowledged and as one of the states with highest indexes when it comes to women's participation, when it comes to health, when it comes to development. All these factors, Kerala development model has been highly appreciated. So especially we know the programs that has been initiated by the state governments. We have the Kudumbasri program was a well acknowledged program, and this has really brought about lots of changes in the sphere. We now, like a few hours ago, one of my neighbor, she is a mother of two children, and her elder girl is in the 12, she's just completing her +2. But this mother, she is now going to appear for her +1 examination. So she had brought the certificates to get attested. So this program is being run through the Kudumbasri. That is the latest initiatives that has been brought about by the Kudumbasri program, where they are initiating all the women under the Kudumbasri who had to stop their studies at a very younger age, maybe due to marriage or maybe due to other conditions. They are supporting them to continue their study. They are supporting them. They have started classes for them. They are supporting them to get higher going in for the courses, continue their studies. And even if they want technical support, that is also being provided, technical skills. So in that regard also, earlier it was just initially it was just forming groups, collecting money, forming some and starting entrepreneurship programs. But now They have gone a step ahead to empower them in case of in case of education also. So they can whatever things they can continue with their education where they have left behind. So it's not just reading and writing; it is technically completing whatever education they had left behind due to other circumstances in life. Then we have the gender power program where the initiators by the women can start their initiators, and that is being supported by the government of state government, and where like you can see lots of programs in a one circle where you see all the initiatives by the women and under one what we say kind of mall where everything is available. Okay, then we have the she taxi which is run by the taxis that are being run by the name itself shows that, right? Then the taxis that are run by women, and where usually what happens is we know the abuses that happen against women just because they had to travel in an with male run systems, right? Taxis or so for to protect that, she taxis has been initiated under Kudumbashree also. Okay, then we have the Nirbhaya Kerala program that has been launched in 2007 as 13. We also have gender budgeting program, gender budgeting, where funds are allocated for any kind of improvements that are being taken up for the inclusion or of women, and it like all programs are checked if there are there are funds have enough funds has been allowed to all the programs for women also. So in that sense, the gender budgeting is also taken care of. So it's not just budgeting. So in budgeting also, it is seen that there is a provision for women. Okay. Then to look into this is Maharashtra. I know it's a state where we all belong to, and you all will be more authoritative in this initiatives. But when I had looked through the initiatives in Maharashtra, so I just thought I'll just have a glimpse of it. So Maharashtra has been also again coming out with major initiatives when it comes to women. So this is a women reservation bill. So Maharashtra has been applauded as the first state in India to pass women's reservation bill in 1994, reserving 33% of seats for women in local government bodies, which the even our like government at the national level, it has not happened. Even though we have had uh, lots of programs, discussions being carried out, we know that it has not been initiated at the central level, but Maharashtra is a state which has come out first in reserving and bringing out, making it happen. Then we had the Tejaswini project, which is a government aimed initiative at empowering in the rural areas of Maharashtra, provide training programs and support for women's self-help groups, and promoting women participation in decision-making process, and helping women to know about the schemes and programs. In this area, I think you will all be able to tell me more about this, right? So we have then Samata Sainik Dal, which is initiated by the Maharashtra Police for all women motorcycle squad called Samata Sainik Dal, which is again to ensure the safety and security of women in public places, where women patrol officers patrol the streets and respond to emergency situations. And we have the police again has developed women safety apps like Himmat, Maji, Sakhi to send alerts to police in cases of emergencies. Then gender sensitization programs are being taken up by the government to sensitize all the government officials police officers and judicial officers, because this is an important, this has been initiated in even in Kerala, because every state needs to do this, because anyone joining the government sector, and they are the policy makers, they are the implementing officers, and it is important that anyone who joins the government sector are aware about what is the status of women in the government, what are the problems that are being taken, like affecting the women, and what are how gender sensitively they had to look into certain aspects of implementation of the programs. If that has been taken care of, I think we can go a long way in changing certain things in our states. Like if every officer, if every government officer, and not only government, but then to a large extent, since our state is being controlled by the government machineries, if the government or all the government officials, especially the police officers and the higher government officials, takes care that every decision that that they make is gender sensitive, then that would go a long way in bringing about the number of incidents related to the marginalized, the women communities, to reduce this kind of incidents, and maybe to bring about a positive change also. Then the several Indian states, then there are other states that has taken promote gender sensitive and inclusion, like Andhra Pradesh, where the she teams initiated to prevent harassment of women in public places. It involves the deployment of police personnel to public spaces to monitor, like if this kind of any harassments are happening. Okay. But going back, like to see that the gender equality is, even the United Nations itself says that even though gender equality is considered as fundamental human right, and it is necessary for foundation of peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world, well, they themselves acknowledge that the progress that has been happening over the last decade is not on track to achieve the gender equality by 2030. Even though all the SDGs are for 2030, they themselves know that whatever has been happening over these decades will not happen by 2030. Also, it is not, it may not be, we might be making a long strides, we might be making a lot of trying to make a lot of changes, but then we still had to go a very long way. And we all know that this COVID-19 had taken us like suddenly, and it has disrupted lots of things that were going on, and even this has disrupted even the lives of women, also women and children especially. And now again, because many women had lost jobs, and along with men, okay, so the has lost jobs, and coming, like going back to work has been difficult for many of them. And the com and so it is important that the commitment and bold action is again needed to accelerate progress, including through the promotion of laws, policies, budgets, and institutions that advance gender equality. And as I told you, even though we have the reservation bill, we still, at the central level, it's still the discussions are still going on. And so this is with regard to the PowerPoint presentation, but I would like to hear from you, and maybe I can also share, hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Can
Thank you, Anita.
you hear me? Yeah.
Now, now I request Dr. Sharmila ma'am. I request Dr. Sharmila ma'am to throw some light and expert opinion on this topic. Ma'am, please. Sharmila.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Pratima. Thank you for the introduction. I think we all have heard what Dr. Anita has said and brought up a good review about from international, national, and state level statistics about the women and women empowerment related. Let me say in that part. I think all from international to state coming down and specific to what she talked about, the Kerala and some examples of that. When we are talking about gender diversity and women empowerment, I think we all know currently also. I will talk upon two points just I want to put up forward here. One is when we are talking of gender equality with the CSR bill coming after 2013. We were doing a lot of programs about women empowerment by CSR, social responsibilities, and industries doing. But after that, if we look at it, then we do see that there is a change. So when it comes in a way by the government or the pressure by the government, let me say when it's in a law format, then there is a compulsion and therefore we see that change that is done. I'm saying this in regards to my doctoral work where I have talked about pre and post CSR activities under the gender specific fifth goal of sustainable development, and we really see a change in those that increasing in. Secondly, I feel that after 2013 and the POSH Act which has come in, I think that's where there is a protection for women we see and a control over harassment cases in industrial level. If being a faculty for HRM for last more than 25 years and being in industries, I think where there were no committees, the act made it a compulsion, and now we have most of the industries having the internal complaints committee, which is taking care of the women's issues or making the place safer to work. I think that's very important that you feel safe to work in a place. And so that environment, making that environment safe, because when we see that there's zero tolerance at the entry point, I think somewhere somebody is afraid of that. Yeah, there is something act and something can happen. So these are important. And I think the students who are the social work students who are going to different organizations, maybe in industries or maybe for NGOs also, which are CSR funded, I would say. So when they are doing the programs or whatever activities, can we look at it from the sustainable development goals angle? Maybe we have to make a conscious effort. That's what I would like to say here. A little which I always like and I always say, and I want that students should be doing it. A little bit in Anita, I'll just speak a little bit in Marathi. A little local language makes a little more impact. Na? So for the students, I want to give a message. Gender diversity, gender equality आणि ह्या गोष्टी आपण शब्द म्हणून अनेकदा ऐकलेत, सगळ्यांच्या कानावर पडतायत. अनेक वर्ष पडतात असं मी म्हणेन. पण या सगळ्यामध्ये विद्यार्थी म्हणून मला असं नेहमीच आणि मी माझ्या विद्यार्थ्यांना नेहमी सांगत असते की लेट इट बिगिन फ्रॉम मी, लेट इट बिगिन फ्रॉम माय फॅमिली. जेव्हा आम्ही जेंडर इक्वालिटी म्हणतो, मला माझ्या घरात ती दिसते का, मी माझ्या घरात ती बदल आणू शकतो का, नसेल तर आणू शकतो का, तर असं प्रत्येकाने आपण स्वतःला विचारायला पाहिजे की त्याचा अर्थ काय. कारण शिकवणं आणि प्रॅक्टिसमध्ये आणणं या दोन खूप वेगळ्या गोष्टी आहेत. आणि त्यामुळे मला असं वाटतं की प्रत्येकाने आपण सोशल वर्कचे विद्यार्थी म्हणून आपल्या घरापासून जर आपण सुरुवात केली तर आपण समाजापर्यंत नेऊ शकणार आहोत. आणि मग त्या हक्काने आपण समाजात बोलू शकतो की हो बदल व्हायला पाहिजे. सो वेअर वी वॉन्ट अ चेंज टू happen, when we want to say that there's diversity is a big thing to happen, we are just the beginning. म्हणजे आता अगदीच सुरुवात आहे आणि प्रपोर्शन पण खूप कमी आहे हे आपल्याला माहिती आहे. त्यामुळे आपण कॉन्शियसली तो बदल आणण्याचा समाजकार्याचे विद्यार्थी म्हणून आपण केला पाहिजे. हे म्हणत असताना मला गेल्या आठवड्याभराचीच कुठल्या तरी तारीख आठवत नाही, पण पेपरनी स्टॅटिस्टिक्स दिलेली आहेत की महिला आणि पुरुषांच्या वेतनामध्ये असलेली असमानता दिसतीये. So where we see that, can we try to control if we have to do it? म्हणजे आपल्याला ते करणं शक्य आहे. त्यामुळे बदल आणत असताना आपण सोशल वर्कचे विद्यार्थी म्हणून आपली एक मोठी जबाबदारी आहे जी आपण केली पाहिजे. सो वेन वी टॉक ऑफ, आय थिंक द टॉपिक इज we can go on and on, but we have to control in within the time span. I think the next speakers also will be there. But this was really a session which makes us think, and we should take the message that we all have to think about gender equality and bring in practice. We are thinking we have to bring in practice. Dr. Anita has brought a good review of all aspects she has touched upon. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a chairperson. Thank you, Dr. Deshmukh sir, and the whole team at Nashik there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now the session is open for discussion. If anyone have any queries or question, you may ask. Now the
Hello.
session is open for open discussion.
Ma'am, actually, previously you quoted the sentence that decent working conditions and safe working conditions are quite important to have more significant productive activities regarding to, especially for women. My question is to both the speakers that whether what is your observations regarding that committees are actually working or that committees are only on the paper, and how it impacts on the working conditions or may to maintain decent working conditions. Please enlighten us with your views. Thank you.
May I know your name?
Hello, ma'am. I, Dr. Manisha Shukla from College of Social Work, Nashik.
Okay, Dr. Manisha, I'm part of sexual harassment committee for the last few years of certain organizations in Kerala, some central organizations as well as some of the state government bodies. So when I look, it is like I don't know if I can give a fully in there some of the cases are being reported, but I don't know if I can say that if it is truly implemented, because in one of the organizations that I has been part of, where I have been a part of, and there a case had come up with regard to there was a case of sexual harassment, but what happened was in this case the person who harassed was at a more, you can say, a higher level, and the women who had undergone this harassment was at a lower level. She was on a contractual position. So we at the committee, a majority of us were in, we had tried to find the reason and the cause of the harm, and we had found the person guilty, but he was in the verge of his promotion, and we had given a report, but we couldn't trace the women because the women had already left the organized, because since she had been on contract, the organization, I think, had made her leave the organization by the time this case was taken up, and we had gone into investigation, and it was very difficult to trace her. So maybe because she was a contractual staff, she had left the organization. And but then we had after investigation, we had given whatever findings we had, and we had found the person guilty of the charges, whatever has been mentioned in the harassment had taken place. But what later we found was that the organization wasn't willing to take up the charges against the person, because they said he had served the organization for all these long years and he was going to get his pension, and because of this case his pension would be blocked. See, so they were trying to convince us maximum that we don't give a negative kind of report. So in one way, this is helpful in the sense that the women are able to give complaints, raise their voices, come out with all these problems at the issues. But at the another way, at the other part, what happens is the whole things has, that is what I told you earlier, it has to the changes has to come in other persons perceptions also. It's not just at the from the part of we have good laws, but then the people implementing them will also have to ensure that women's rights are being taken care of. They are ensured justice, which is not always happening. I think Dr. Shamla would like to add on to it.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Manisha. I've also been in this committee since 2013 in different corporates. And as an external member of, we are always invited for the meetings, awareness programs, and so on. I also had come across with one major case, I will say, and in which the women was a contract laborer, definitely, and the men in who was in a supervisory position and on the lines, while working on the lines, the sexual harassment. And then we had several meetings and we tried to talk about, and we could get that it was found that he was found guilty in that whole process. But in this industry, the management or the members of the team was stronger, I believe, and we believe that he is guilty, so he should be punished. And the management has taken the steps and the person was terminated. This is very much where I was a part of that company, and we had the meetings, and the whole case went on for a long time because it was not easy in a way. But let me tell you, in this case, the women who was found, that her husband came to know that such harassment has happened, and the husband told her that if the case results into that you are guilty, then I will divorce you. म्हणजे अशी परिस्थिती होती की 2 मुलं आहेत, नवऱ्याला कळलेलं आहे, कारण कंपनी जवळ राहणारी लोक होती, आणि जर जर ती बाई जर गिल्टी असते तर तिचा डिवोर्स होणार. या सगळ्या कंडिशन्स बघता अँड द थिंग्स गोइंग ऑन, बट ही वॉज फाउंड गिल्टी. अँड आय थिंक मॅनेजमेंट वॉज ऑफ द दिस थिंग. वी नीड मॅनेजमेंट सपोर्ट. That's very important, and this culture has to be formed in the industry. Then it is possible. Sometimes, Manisha, as you say, there are committees, but just for the namesake, they'll take one training program on 8th March and that ends. There are companies, but I just feel that after the act, a little bit we are growing with it, or the awareness is coming up, which was not at all. That's what I mean to say. So it's making compulsion, a little change what we see that is visible in some of the companies, I can say, or the picture is changing a little, what we can say in percentage. There are many other, but we know we have no time to tell you smaller cases also, because there's a lot of cases in relation in canteen, while traveling, while being together in for the company programs and so on. But this was a major one. I thought I should just make it. Thank you. Any other questions from students?
हॅलो मॅडम, माझे 2 क्वेश्चन आहे, त्याच्यापैकी एक विचारतो. आता जे हिंदी बोललं चालेल मॅडम? हिंदी?
हाँ, मुझे हिंदी आती है.
Okay.
Yeah, I follow Hindi.
Yes.
Madam, I have many questions, but one asked. Today's women are the most exploited. Women in rural area suffer more injustice. The mentality of the people in that area is very different. What can we do stop the exploitation in the name of culture and tradition? मतलब मुझे ये कहना है कि संस्कृति या परंपरा उनके नाम पर जो महिलाओं का जो शोषण होता है, क्या हम ऐसी नैतिक प्रतिबद्धताओं के साथ आगे नहीं जा सकते क्या, जो समाज को आगे ले जाने के लिए काम कर सकती है? मतलब मुझे इतना कहना है कि जो जो परंपराएं हैं जिसके माध्यम से असमानता निर्माण होती है, तो वो खत्म करने के लिए एक सामाजिक कार्यकर्ता के रूप में हमारी क्या भूमिका होनी चाहिए?
It would be better if you can tell your name also, so that it will be easy for us to address.
Madam, I am Prashik Sonone from Nashik College of Social Work, first year.
Rashik. Ma'am, I'll start.
Yes, please.
ओके त्राशिक आपका क्वेश्चन बहुत अच्छा था कि अब हमारे रूरल एरियाज में जो हो रहे हैं ना ऐसे लाइक द डिफरेंसेस इन डिफरेंसेस कैन इज मोर विजिबल इन रूरल एरियाज एंड मे बी यहाँ पे एक रूरल एरिया में रहती हूँ केरला में, लेकिन मे बी सिंस आई एम स्टेइंग इन स्टेट लाइक केरला, यहाँ का कुछ लाइक इट्स अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ, जैसे हमारे एपीजे प्रेसिडेंट बताते हैं, इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ अर्बनाइज्ड रूरल एरिया। इसे हम पक्का रूरल एरिया नहीं कह सकते, लेकिन जो भी लाइक डिफरेंसेस हैं, ज्यादातर इट अफेक्ट्स वीमेन. Maybe we can say that it's because of the structural inequalities, and हम ये कह सकते हैं कि it's also because we have बाउंड, हम जब भी बाउंड्रीज बनाते हैं विमेन के लिए, वो कल्चर के नाम से बनाते हैं, एंड वी पुट इट इन द नेम ऑफ कल्चर एंड वी ट्राई टू बाइंड द we try to bind in those names when it comes to choosing a partner, when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to household works, when it comes to even choosing a career, when it comes to even family planning, to deciding on how many children you will have to have, and all these things are traditional, we say that, and all these things are traditionally bound. But एक traditions अब हम कैसे break सकते हैं, like इसमें एक important thing that I think is education. Education is an important thing, like to get be aware that we have all these rights. हमारे like कहें कि we are right from childhood, जैसे एक लड़की को हम पाल के, we say like जैसे we are brought up, we are sociologically brought up by in a family, like where where we are given instructions every time कि तुम छोटे, जब से छोटे, in I think in Ketki's there was a documentary, it is beautifully shown. हमें like when it is a girl, you give all the kind of pink, you are put on a dress, the dress itself in the first stage, the dress itself discriminates you, telling that this is the dress as a girl that you will have to wear whole through your life. And that when like this, there was a discussion in our own school when it comes to changing the dresses of the school girls. They were saying that why should the girls wear trousers kind of, or the kind of dresses. I said when it is a skirt, it limits a girl. You cannot jump over a wall, you cannot climb trees, which is equally freedom to everyone. So there are so much restrictions even in when it comes to like binding a girl with a kind of dress, so which is again a social construct. हमारे घर से कहते हैं कि लड़कियों को ऐसे ही ड्रेस पहनना चाहिए. So a girl, what happens is girl grows up thinking that मुझे ऐसे ही ड्रेस पहनना चाहिए, ऐसे ड्रेस में मैं अच्छी लगती हूँ, मेरे बाल, I'll have to grow my hair because I look beautiful. Like it is constructed that a girl looks beautiful only when she has long hair, when she has bangles in her hands, when she wears bindi, when she is fair. So all these are in our societies exist that तुम्हारे beauty is sundarata ऐसे ही define करके like it is already there in the society that ऐसी ऐसी सुंदरता है. So is a change होनी चाहिए after, only when you educated you start thinking about it, and when you start start working again, like when you start getting include with lots of other people, not only education, also economic freedom also gives you a lot of opportunities to interact with other people. तुम different circles में, like living apart your family, you also start interacting with common places, the public places that हम कहते हैं ना, public places का like entry women के लिए बहुत restricted था. So when you start entering into the public places, when you start hearing the discussions that is happening in the public places, be it panchayat, jaise in the self-help groups, or in the being a member of the panchayat, going into being the president or being the members in a panchayat, and representing your organization or taking as a self entrepreneur तुम होते तो इन सब public platforms से क्या होता है कि you get to know more and more people and you start discussing on these topics. So तुम्हारा like your like world widens when you go get enter into these kind of platforms. So getting in this employment opportunity, either entrepreneurship or going into employment is equally important. And the another important thing is parenting. Like जैसे तुम जब parents बनोगे, तो it's important that when you bring up children with a when you yourself are you start thinking widely, तुम अपने बच्चों को भी like you start bringing children without any gender biases. So you start giving your children opportunities. You don't differentiate your children as either girl or boy. You start seeing in a them in a different perspective. So in सब में difference होना important है. I think Sharmila ma'am will add to that. Right?
I think, Dr. Anita, you have covered it really nicely. Things have taken up. I don't need to say something, right? Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. There is one question from Vijay Mala. The question is that can we work on women to change their thinking about gender discrimination? Explain and suggest something about this question. The question
Pratima, can you
raised by Vijay Mala. It is on. It is in a chat box.
Sharmila ma'am?
Should I say that? Okay. I think she said, can we work on women to change their thinking? I think yes, we should work on it. Yeah, the first thing is we need to do a long way and work on it to change the thinking of women and men also. I think let us always keep in mind when we are saying thinking, we mean to say we're thinking of both men and women. I always believe that when we are talking of empowerment, when we started talking of empowerment and a lot of programs which went for women empowerment, women got empowered, but men are not in a position to take that. So we need to empower our men also. Okay. So because their thoughts are also traditional, na? So we need, if we are talking of change, then it is the thought process, the thinking that is there, that is making. And so we need to empower both men and women simultaneously, and then we will see a change. And as I think all of us know that when we are talking of a change, any change is a slow process, definitely. And changing of mindset itself is a big challenge to all of us. I think had that change done, the scenario would have been different today, na? म्हणजे एवढे माइंडसेट लोकांचे बदलले असते तर आज समाजाचा विकास कुठेच गेला असता ना. आपले विचार आणि आपली माइंडसेट बदलते का? तर आम्ही असं म्हणणार, मगाशी कोणीतरी परंपरांचा विषय जो सांगितला मॅडमनी तसा, की ज्या काही परंपरा आहेत त्या आम्हाला त्या पाळायच्याच आहेत आणि त्या केल्याच पाहिजेत असं आपण म्हणतो. त्याला आपण चॅलेंज करणार का? की ते चूक आहे आणि मी नाही करणार असं म्हणू शकतो का? तर आम्ही असं म्हणतो की आमचे वाडवडील करत होते, आम्ही केलंच पाहिजे. So somewhere we need to think the thinking, Vijay Mala, the thinking will only change when you challenge and say, no, this is right and this is wrong. And therefore, I think everybody needs, yes. So it's a slow process and therefore it will take a long way, but we have to do it. It's we are responsible. I think we as women, we as social workers, the change agents, what we are, we as students of social work, we should be taking ahead.
Ma'am, here I would like to add little bit.
Yeah.
As one of the social activists, Simone de Beauvoir, one of the famous statement that is, one is not born but rather become a woman. Just like that, the discrimination is start from the from our self and in our family also. But
Right.
if we purposely stop this discrimination, if we purposely focus to bring and brought up our children just like a human being, then we can say that in coming future the equality will be possible. Otherwise just talking on this issue and discussing on this issue, it will not helpful for a long while, but we have to take certain deep step from our family and start thinking as a human being, not men, women, like that. This is I would like to add. Thank you, ma'am.
True, Pratima. Just as you say, add on to that, that's why I said the change should begin from me and my home. Then मुलांना सगळ्यांनी विचार करावा की माझ्यात आणि माझ्या बहिणीमध्ये भावामध्ये काही डिस्क्रिमिनेशन माझ्या घरी झालं का? झालं असेल तर मी माझ्या मुलांमध्ये माझ्या फॅमिलीत नाही करणार. अशी आपण सुरुवात केली तरी दॅट्स अ बिगिनिंग ऑफ चेंज. दॅट्स व्हॉट आय फील. So it has to begin from home. It has to begin from me always.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you.
Just to add to that, Pratima,
Yes.
like what I would say is usually what happens, our girl children, when they come to campuses, they say that recent discussion, one of our students was saying that like because of her mother, her father was willing to let her go and continue her studies, but then mother is not willing because the mothers are brought up like that. Mothers has been as sociologically brought up. They said the neighbors complain, the relatives complain, they want the girls to get married very soon. They don't want to send girls to higher study. But I would say that the mothers themselves has to take initiative. जो mothers को अपने आप opportunities नहीं मिले, they'll have to let their children explore the world, let the girls and boys, not just. But when it comes to girls, the mothers especially has to ensure that they give all the support to the girl children to going for higher studies, going and not making marriage the first thing in their life. Not telling them marriage is not the first thing in life. First, economic freedom and taking care of them, because whatever happens in future, you cannot guarantee what is going to happen in anyone's future. So taking care of oneself is most important. It's the most primary need for any individual. So to empower a woman in that aspect, educationally and economically, should be the important concept of all the mothers also, all women.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Myself, Priyansha, MSW first year. Ma'am, I have a question that recently Kerala government granted menstrual leaves and Bihar government already started since 1992. That is 2 days menstrual leaves. I think all states have to make that laws. So what's your opinion about that?
Priyansh, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good question, Prayash. Actually, we are very happy. Like for people like me, we are very. Even my students were lately asking, we should be getting. Like we had just published their leave, like attendance statement, and one of my girls were asking, "Ma'am, we are allowed menstrual leave. Like, can we claim that?" So I was just telling them all the government has approved this the Cochin University was the first one. The students had went on a strike for that, and the Cochin University has brought about an amendment, and they had brought this leave on menstrual leave for all the girls in the campuses. And but it's not like it's not been like accepted by all the universities, but it is available. All the universities has to make orders, bring about orders with regard to implementing this act, this, I mean, menstrual leaves. I think and no one would deny that this right,
True.
because we know how painful it is during those days. So taking leave by the girls is important. You cannot, because that is a biological function, and with the biological function similar to the lines of maternity leave, because this is a biological function which again creates so many changes in your body, and you have pains and difficulties related. We have seen I myself and my own students, my daughter have all been going through this pain, and it is really difficult. to make yourself fully functional on those days. So this is a really great advantage that we have in our state, and I'm proud of it. I hope everyone will be able to like implement it at every part of our country.
Every state should do it. We agree. Waiting for Maharashtra state to do it.
Yes. Okay, shall we conclude? Anybody want to ask? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Sharmila, ma'am, and Dr. Anita. So, on behalf of our mother organization, Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samaj and College of Social Work, I would like to I take this opportunity to propose my sincere thanks first to Dr. Anita. Despite of her ill health, she could not be present here physically, but share her view online on gender diversity. In her presentation, she shared uh, very briefly the international, national, and state initiative, as well as the legislation provisions for stop discrimination and gender equality, and also share a good example regarding the state which are in the schemes which are made by the state government like Kerala, Maharashtra, and even Andhra Pradesh. Thank you, Anita, for your presence and valuable talk and enlighten our student with your speech. Thank you very much. I also pay my sincere thanks to Dr. Sharmila ma'am for her valuable inputs and share her views on gender diversity and interacting with our student and enlighten and give your beautiful thoughts to our student. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, and thank you
Thank you.
all online participants and offline participants. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Pratima and Dr. Shamila and the Institute for giving us an opportunity. And I would have loved to come down, but at this, I was laid down for a few days. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
hope
Thank you, Pratima. Thank you, Deshmukh sir, and all faculty members of Nashik College and the students. Thank you so much.